For decades, French football struggled to hold international attention, overshadowed by towering competition from Europe and South America. Then came Antoine Griezmann, a forward who didn't fit the traditional prototype. An underdog with no academy backing, but with intelligence, timing, and an obsession for the game. Suddenly, stadiums filled, social media buzzed, young players like him felt seen for the first time. Watch closely as we are about to unravel the story of one of, if not the most well-known French football player in modern-day history. And to do that, we have to start at the beginning. For Antoine Griezmann, everything started in Macon, France, a quiet city without elite football systems or the resources of France's sporting capitals. Football wasn't just an afterthought in his family. It was part of life. All his siblings played, and as the youngest, Griezmann stepped into the sport almost by default. He officially started playing football at the age of 5, and that early exposure built a sense of belonging. What began as a routine soon became something else. By elementary school, Griezmann was already making noise. At 10, he helped his local youth team win regional tournaments in Burgundy. It was a small stage, but the wins mattered. He didn't stand out for size. He stood out for his intelligence on the ball, his timing, his instinct. Recognition was soon to follow, and in a country where forwards were expected to have power and physical dominance, Griezmann's growth curve looked average at best. Scouts overlooked him. In their eyes, football at the highest level was a game for the fast and strong. The ones who fit the mold. Griezmann didn't. But those judgments didn't sit with him. He had his own inspiration. Watching France's top players, Griezmann didn't see himself as the odd one out. He saw a path forward. He studied Thierry Henry, Zinedine Zidane, even David Trezeguet. The precision, the timing, the killer instinct, it wasn't just admiration. It was ambition. If they could compete on the international stage, why couldn't he? Still, nothing about Griezmann's trajectory would come easily. France has a prestigious tradition of powerhouse football academies. Places like Clairefontaine produce top talent under the best coaches, often going on to national glory. These were the pipelines for elite players, but Griezmann didn't follow the crowd. Instead of joining a proven academy immediately, he tried out everywhere, facing rejection after rejection. Most saw this as a risk. Academies didn't offer guarantees or immediate prestige, but for Griezmann it was never about shortcuts or borrowed reputation. He wanted to prove that greatness could come from anywhere and that great success was about work, not prestige. He made every minute count. Alongside his club training, Griezmann joined several youth setups, chasing as much competition and as many perspectives as possible. By the time he reached the French national youth tournaments, Griezmann wasn't just fitting in. He was leading. Under his command, teams won regional titles and caught the eye of bigger clubs. He was a teenager still considered undersized for his position, dominating at every level he could reach. There were no spotlights in small-town stadiums. National scouts weren't lining the stands, but Griezmann sharpened in these overlooked places. He studied defenders, read the game, and built a sense of timing and movement that turned marking defenders into spectators. But the real test was still ahead. At 17, Griezmann was about to step into the world where the pace was faster, defenders stronger, pressure relentless. Our protagonist would now enter professional football. Antoine Griezmann's first step onto a professional pitch was marked by uncertainty. In 2009, he signed for Real Sociedad's youth system after years of trials and rejection. He wasn't a prodigy from the academy. He was young, untested, and underestimated. La Liga was notorious for tactical systems and season lineups that didn't forgive inexperience. Most expected him to blend in, maybe even struggle. Instead, he scored consistently for the youth teams, rising above expectations every match. He wasn't a background player. He became the focal point of attacks. Every time he touched the ball, defenses shifted. His debut in the senior team wasn't a fluke, and as the season wore on, Griezmann's impact only grew. He finished his rookie campaign not just as a promising newcomer, but as a forward teams had to plan around. Recognition came slowly. By the 2010-2011 season, Griezmann had helped Real Sociedad reach European competition. He was no longer just a promising youth. He was the player everyone wanted to watch. The one who made every attack feel like it could be history. At 20, he became the youngest Frenchman to score a decisive goal in European competition for his club. Those who watched it felt like he had rewritten the script for what was possible for French forwards who didn't fit the physical mold. When he earned his first call-up to the French national team in 2014, it wasn't just a personal accolade. It was proof of a larger shift. A sign that France could produce forwards who were intelligent, versatile, and technical, even if they weren't towering physical specimens. Carrying the weight of expectation came with immense pressure. France's history in football is storied, but often felt distant to young players like Griezmann. Media coverage intensified, social media profiles swelled, comparisons to heroes like Zidane or Thierry Henry were everywhere. He wasn't just playing for his own growth. He was becoming the symbol of a generation intent on blending intelligence, speed, and skill into French football. The 2016 Euro became another showcase. Griezmann hammered goals, assists, and creativity that lifted the team to the final. Even in heartbreak, he proved his tactical and technical versatility. Then came the World Cup 2018. The weight of expectation wasn't just national, it was personal. Representing France on the world stage, Griezmann stood firm. Every run, every pass, every set piece mattered. He scored in the knockout rounds, assisted, drew defenders away. His 4 goals and 2 assists throughout the tournament were a clear proof he could carry the team. Even under immense scrutiny, France lifted the trophy. Griezmann wasn't satisfied. But the significance wasn't lost on those who witnessed it. His presence had reignited excitement for French football, long dominated by bigger names and heavy expectations. Beyond the pitch, Griezmann's influence was harder to measure but impossible to miss. Social media fan clubs, player comparisons, even video games captured his impact. He became a cultural icon, a proof that football didn't have to be about brute force to be spectacular. His presence inspired young players to embrace intelligence, movement, and adaptability. He built a social media following that gave fans behind-the-scenes glimpses, and he openly shared his journey. His approachability and honesty set him apart in a football culture that often kept its stars distant. But Griezmann never saw himself as just an individual icon. His rise came alongside teammates who shared ambition. Players like Kake, Saul, and Black formed a trio with Griezmann that embodied synergy. They didn't rely solely on individual brilliance. Their combined efforts became the foundation of Atletico Madrid's sharp and fast-paced style, leaving even taller, stronger teams scrambling to keep up. Football stadiums came alive. Any match with Griezmann in attack surged views. For the first time in years, fans were overflowing into stadiums just to see him in action. Every clever run, every assist, every finishing touch restored belief. But every ascent brings new challenges. The next step would take him into a new environment, a different system, and a team already filled with stars. The expectations were enormous, and the obstacles ahead would test him in ways he had never experienced before. But before we get to that, yo guys, I've been scripting this for the past 3 weeks, research, editing, planning. I'm tired. I'm really new to this space, so this really puts a load on me. I would absolutely appreciate you supporting me by subscribing. We are quite far from our goal of 1,000 subs, but please continue with the support. Turn on post notifications and stick around for a while with me. I assure you I will be consistent on uploads. Lots of milestones ahead, and who knows, you might be my day ones if this whole thing goes well, and I will remember you. All right, enough talk, let's get back to it. Griezmann moved to Barcelona for the 2019-2020 season, marking a new test. A place where every match demanded more than raw talent. Early days hinted at promise. Even in training, teammates and coaches noticed his timing, intelligence, and ability to find angles on the spot. Spanish fans were curious. Could a 28-year-old from Atletico deliver against Europe's best in a star-studded team? There was belief. But barely weeks into the campaign, challenges arose. He struggled to find his rhythm in a team already in motion. Moments of brilliance were rare. Critics were quick. Fans impatient. The setbacks didn't end there. Injuries and minor knocks tested him physically, but the mental toll was greater. He had to evolve. The adjustments came incrementally. He refined positioning, improved runs, worked on link-up play, and adjusted his style to the Barcelona system. By mid-season, flashes of brilliance returned. He scored, assisted, and helped the team at crucial moments, proving he could compete at the highest level even under immense pressure. By the end of the season, Griezmann had rebuilt himself, physically and mentally. He was strong, technical, sharper than before. Respect was earned in one of football's toughest tactical environments, not through flash but persistence and evolution. The struggles that sidelined him had forced a kind of growth that raw talent alone couldn't offer. He later returned to Atletico in 2021, and that's where the story shifts. Because for Griezmann, the next question wasn't about recovery. It was about what it means to define greatness on his own terms, beyond just football. Over time, he became more than a player. His presence on the pitch signaled composure. Teammates trusted his decisions. Opponents respected his unpredictability. Leadership wasn't loud. It was measured, consistent, and rooted in the way he played the game. He made it clear that greatness could come from anywhere, in any form. And as football continued to evolve, Griezmann's example stood as a reminder. What matters most isn't where you start, or even how fast you run, but how far you're willing to push the limits of expectation. After the 2022 World Cup, Griezmann shocked fans by announcing he would take a step back from constant national team play to focus on club recovery, family, and mental reset. His absence left a vacuum. His presence remained a constant within the national team for years, becoming a pillar of experience and composure. As younger players emerged, Griezmann's intelligence and leadership showed that timing and understanding of the game could rival youth and raw athleticism. Few athletes in football combine longevity, impact, and adaptability like Griezmann has. He's led France to new heights, inspired the next generation, and even during setbacks, he never lost the essence of his play. And he did it while balancing the pressures of club, country, and public expectation. Griezmann's image now embodies modern French football identity. He brought creativity, intelligence, and subtle brilliance back to the global stage, igniting excitement for fans worldwide. In fact, my first exposure to football was actually through him. I just happened to see his clips, weaving through defenders, finishing with precision, creating space where none seemed possible. I couldn't get enough of his intelligence, timing, and flair. I mean, Griezmann at his peak was just peak football for me, and one of the most satisfying things to watch. I hope the next time we see him on that stage, he comes back scoring multiple goals in a row, like he always does when he's fully in rhythm. He will not be part of the next international campaign, leaving questions about what comes next. Wherever his journey leads, I'll be watching. Drop your favorite Griezmann moment in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because players like this don't come around often, and when they do, they remind you why you fell in love with the game in the first place. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Let me know who you want me to do next. All right, peace out.